Hey everyone, Dr. Bob Rowe. Um, there are so many changes going on in medicine today. I wanted to go over what those changes are going to be so we can get a better idea of how it's going to affect us in the future. There's a number of different categories that are going to affect us, but artificial intelligence, data collection, and the future of medicine is really what this is about. So let's take a look at where medicine is right now and what that means. So in today's world, you go to the medical doctor with a particular problem. The doctor will examine you. The doctor will then decide whether you need to be going for some additional tests. If not, the doctor will give you a diagnosis and then give you some kind of a treatment. And that's primarily what goes on. So what does a doctor learn? Well, basically, everything that we learn in any healthcare institution to become a doctor of any kind is primarily diagnosis and treatment. In other words, you have to know what's wrong with the patient in order to decide then what kind of treatment you're going to apply. So what does that have to do with what's going to happen in the future of medicine? Well, let's take a quick look at that. So the future of medicine, what does it involve? Well, it involves better diagnosis and treatment, mainly because of technology. So we're going to look at this a little more in depth, but we have things that can sense areas of problems in our bodies before any human could come to that decision. So the technology will be what they call wearable and implantable sensors, something that you can wear on your wrist, your hand, or for more serious chronic disease problems, they'll be implantable. They'll be inside you to measure things like different hormone levels, different blood chemistries, sugar levels, that kind of thing, that are really important to regulate on a regular minute-to-minute basis. So these things can really keep us up to date with what's going on. So it's a continuous and up-to-date information system that collects data continually about you and then has feedback information. So let's take a look at what this really means. So that now you get all of the information from the patient. The interesting thing is that we have all of this data that we can now compile and compare and contrast for different people and different treatment levels, different problems. Then we can put it through what we know as artificial intelligence. It's those computer programs like that computer program Watson that was able to beat the top Jeopardy player. So it can formulate the information, it can put it together, it can analyze it faster and better than hundreds of medical doctors put together could do in that time period. So you have, first of all, you have the information from you as a patient. It goes into a database as compared. Then it goes to artificial intelligence, where the artificial intelligence will now compare it better than any doctor can and come up with a better treatment plan. So and these sensors are getting smaller and faster and better and more accurate on a daily basis. And they're all going to be connected to this artificial intelligence, which can then evaluate it way faster than any medical doctor can, or anybody doing that kind of a lab diagnosis, because essentially you're carrying your lab within inside you and it's being reported on continuously. So if you have a chronic condition that needs to be monitored continuously so that you can keep on top of it so it doesn't go too far in the wrong direction, you have all of these sensors that you'll be wearing, and a lot of them are here today. It's quite amazing. So what's happening is that if we look at the healthcare world, we have billions of dollars being put into these sensors. There's all of these different companies that are advancing more and more every day, getting better and better with their information in order to get better and better sensors that will give them more and better information that we can then decide better in a proactive way what is wrong with you. And that's basically what it's all about. And if we take a look right now, for $30 you can get a pretty accurate monitor that will not only measure your blood pressure, but your oxygen levels, your heart rate monitor. It's a fitness tracker. So you get the idea that there are so many things that can be tracked right now, and so many things that are really important that we need to understand. And then it's put through the filters of the artificial intelligence to make better decisions on what we need. So that, again, and those devices, they collect your data. So if you think that in an average medical study, they might have 100 people, or if not a few thousand people over many, many years, where you can get up to the minute information on millions of people and then accurately compile it in a way that can be analyzed very, very simply and very, very affordably. And then you have artificial intelligence, which can then sort it better and pick out things that we might miss as human beings. So much, much, much faster, much, much better. And these are the things that are happening right now. And the one that is really important to understand is the genomic profile. Now, and this is happening right today, in your genomic profile, we can analyze your DNA, RNA, and we can understand better what your flaws are. But not only that, what are you susceptible in different medicines? So before you even get a medicine, going through the different evaluations that artificial intelligence and your genomic profile, it will automatically let you know what you're in for and what the best possible treatment profile for you would be, and what the best outcome will be for you. So that is the direction it's going. So we've gone from what we call evidence-based medicine. In other words, that's a bunch of humans looking at a bunch of different papers and saying, okay, well, this looks like it's the best decision to make, to intelligence-based medicine, which means that we're going to have all of this information and all of this data that will give us a better idea of exactly what's going on and the best path to take to treat your condition and even prevent your condition from getting worse. Because you remember, these things are streaming data continually, second by second.
And this is basically how healthcare will be eventually thought of, as multiple layers of information and data going from imaging to genomic information, all the omics, EHR, etc. So that's then the future of AI in healthcare, which is essentially building a medical brain that will be the smartest and the fastest clinician on the planet in any subspecialty that you can name. So that's our sort of passion and goal, is to build this medical brain so that sometime in the near future we will have most of the answers, if not all of the answers, questions answered in healthcare. This is the number of startups, as you saw earlier. It's been close to 100, and the amount of dollars pouring in from venture capital has really escalated exponentially since we're at an exponential conference in the last year or two. So where is this money going, and how are we going to use healthcare? This is sort of how I divide up all of the AI influence in healthcare conveniently into 6 different areas. I'm just going to summarize what's happening in each of those areas. Decision support is the traditional use of AI in healthcare, and including hospital monitoring. So imagine all the ICUs in the hospitals now have access to all the ICU data from everywhere else in the country or around the world to make a better decision for the ICU physician. And that's already happening to some degree. And again, it's not just ICU data, but it's all the patient's own data in terms of genomics, pharmacogenomics, EHR data, and pooled into a large repository to make a very, very smart decision. And just like Tesla's approach to AI and learning, every mistake will be recorded and analyzed and hopefully corrected when if you happen to be a patient in the ICU setting, or even in a hospital setting. So this is AI in real use. We started something called the Rothman Index, which is an adult application of ICU data to predict readmissions as well as mortality, and this is live use of that data. So Dr. Annis was the pediatric ICU director, can actually think about using that as part of his decision-making process. A huge area in AI in healthcare is medical imaging. If you think about medical imaging, most of the images that you see today have only been around for the last 2 or 3 years. So that's how fast the medical imaging has exponentially risen in the last even 5 years. It's just not going to be possible for human radiologists to read all of the images in the near future. And as you know, the AI or machine learned algorithms have now repeatedly superseded the capability of even groups of radiologists. I would be the first one to tell you, I don't think radiologists will ever be totally replaced, but it would, I think, be a smart radiologist to accept the fact that AI is an ally rather than the enemy. So, this is a cute little project I did at Stanford. I'm a cardiologist, so as some of you know, MRI images are great for quality of images, but echo is great for physiology. And in my mind, I always thought, wouldn't it be great if the two images could be sort of magically converge? And with a little MedLab help from my computer scientist friends, we actually did do that. So this is a combined image of an echo superimposed on top of a MRI that can be done easily with any programming language and help the clinicians to make a decision. Another big area that you heard about already is precision medicine and drug discovery. How do we individualize any therapy for any particular patient? Not just cancer, but even if you have an infection, most of us are lucky because the antibiotics we get happen to cover the bacteria, but wouldn't it be nice to have a very individual recipe, pharmacological recipe for your infection even. A fourth area is the entire big area of cloud computing and big data. So when we think about AI in healthcare and why this is the perfect time for this area to really blossom and yield dividend, it's what I call the ABCD of AI in healthcare. A is for analytics and algorithms. B is for big data, and now probably add blockchain. C is for cloud computing and cognitive computing, and D is for deep learning. So those sort of elements have really contributed greatly to how AI is going to be an amazing force in healthcare. The most exciting 25 years in medicine are coming up, so I think you sort of feel that because that's why you're here. Digital medicine and wearable technology is pretty much starting. The amount of data that's going to be generated from all of the wearable technology devices is going to be very daunting without some sort of embedded analytics right into the device. So there's Internet of Everything on top of Internet of Things. Internet of Everything implies that there is primitive AI built into the device and not just the connectivity that you hear about. So this is going to be routine for patients in the future to have some skin sensor device that's going to monitor vital signs so that it's going to be imported into a repository and analyzed prior to the visit. And lastly, I think an exciting area is not just robotic technology in healthcare, but the aspect of virtual assistants, smart assistants. So wouldn't it be wonderful if all of us have a healthcare avatar that's going to guide us day to day in our healthcare and make best decisions and remind us of things we need to do to maintain healthcare. The scary thought is for insurance companies to impose this on all of us, some sort of AI-driven, inspired guidance system that if you don't follow, then potentially that can have repercussions on your premium payment, for instance. So I think it's better for us to take control of this and use it and show the value rather than being forced to do so. So again, these are the 6 areas I think are very fairly robust right now in AI in healthcare. The beautiful thing here is just like everything else that you've heard about all afternoon, is these areas are sort of converging and growing exponentially. So the impact of AI in healthcare is going to be, I think it's still being underestimated, just like AI in general has been underestimated all these years.